Hi, and welcome to the Global Money News Review. My name is Ola. I'm the founder of the Money with Club, and on these sessions, which hold every Saturday 9 a.m. West African time, we talk about global news and how it affects your pocket. And so today we'll be starting from Nigerian news. And of course, if you haven't subscribed already, you know that you should subscribe and hit the notification button so that you keep abreast. Because if there's anything that you need to do, you need to keep your finances in order and beyond what you do in terms of saving, investing. I put it to you that the economy can throw you off. So this is us helping you understand what's happening in the news and how it does affect your pocket. So the first news I want to highlight there is that the federal government has approved the increase in tariffs for telcos. Now, I'm sure as a Nigerian, you will be like, why are they increasing prices? But look at it from the view of the businesses. They haven't increased prices in 11 years. Think of how much the bag of rice cost 10 years ago, 11 years ago, and think of how much it costs right now, right? Think of every single thing that you're spending money on in the country. I put it to you that from a business perspective, it really does not make sense for the telcos to have kept their prices so low or no stable for so long. Because even just the currency and the price movement, the price adjustments, they have taken a massive hit. Now, on the flip side, you might say that okay, they should be considering more of breadth than actual depth. But what they have said is that because of the currency adjustments, it is difficult for them to actually bring in fresh capital for investing, right? So for them to make that business case to impute or inject fresh capital, so that infrastructure can improve, so they can spread to new places, they actually need to increase their prices. So you can't really argue with them. Also because it's almost like a capitalist thing. These people are here to make money. For 11 years, they have kept prices stable. And in fact, what has happened is that because of that price stability, the communications aspects in our inflation basket, which I mean we can explain on another video, um, has been stable, if you get what I mean. But then what we have found, I mean, we know is that drop calls have increased significantly. And then there's this magic that is happening with data, where data, I mean, if you've seen it, if you've experienced it, please drop in the comment section so that I know that's not just me, right? But where data is just disappearing, like you can't just explain why your data is disappearing, right? Or you buy data and then you want something that's taken for a whole month, like in a week, you're like your data is over, and you don't even know. You just realize, oh, it's not working. You now realize that, oh, there's a text message somewhere telling you that you need to top up, right? And this is the magic that we are seeing right now. So for me, if they're able to increase their prices, of course, not 100%. Yeah, of course, not 100% increase, but if they're able to increase their prices and then they can actually hold them accountable to these drop calls and these data breaches or whatever magic they're doing with data, then I think everybody should be fine. Unfortunately, also with that increase in price, it will also impact increase in tariffs will also impact inflation numbers, because like I said, that portion has been stable because their prices have not increased, but it's going to increase right now. But the actual impact is that all those people, you know, the way you see people raising capital and then they are saying, oh, the total addressable market is this, Nigeria has a population of this, but then you need an app to access it. Excuse me. For you to have an app, you need to have a smartphone. For you to have a smartphone that will work with the app, you need to have internet. So if internet is going up in this time, then that your addressable market is being questioned, if you get what I mean, or is at risk, I dare say, right? So it's one of those things where people say they need to do what they say they are doing what they need to do, but for the economy as a whole, maybe it will be better. Maybe they will invest more money, maybe they will hire more staff, whatever, right? But from the real individual perspective, prices are going to go up a little, hopefully a little. And then second news out of Nigeria is that the SEC, I'm looking for it, the SEC pledges to clamp down on Ponzi schemes, right? Now, it's important to know that there are bad deals that genuinely were legit, but have gone bad. Oh, my focus is not very good. Oh, my focus is better like this. So let me keep it like this. um, so yes, Ponzi schemes, the SEC. Now, first thing, what's the SEC? The SEC is the Securities and Exchange Commission, and in every country, there is a regulatory body that is responsible for securing investors' funds. So everybody from bonds dealers, bond investors, equity investors, private equity guys, fund managers, everybody reports to the SEC. They are under the cover of the SEC. And as such, the first thing I always say, especially in the investment club, now investment club, the Money Week Club, um, is that at the start, let the bulk of your investments be regulated entities. Why? Because it's very hard for them to run. Let it be that investment did not go well, or the investment is taking longer than it should have, but not that your money disappeared, not that there's nowhere to find them, because that's like the worst thing. And it happens. And I dare say it happens a lot towards Christmas. Why? Because you, the investor, you are putting that money, we pay, oh, I have this amount of money. I want to double it by Christmas for, yeah, 30 December. And then you put it into something. And then the person that you put the money with is also planning for your money for that same 30 December. And so somewhere around November, they will start telling stories. No, somewhere around October, they start telling stories. Somewhere around November, they will now block comments, or people cannot talk in the platform anymore. And then the next thing, they go silent. It's just classic. It's like a script, right? But then the SEC saying they're going to clamp down on this. My question for you as an individual that will sit and say, yes, they're going to clamp down on it. The question is, are you saying there were no attempts to clamp down before they made an announcement? So what's exciting about the announcement? I put it to you that you're responsible for recognizing bad investment. You're responsible, not even bad investment, you're responsible for recognizing scams in your environment. Because if you look at it deep down, it is the same format. It is actually the same format. Different spices on top, but the same format. So for you as an investor, or for you as a beginner investor, right? I'm actually coming up with a video in the next week or so, where I'll talk about how to spot bad investments. Now, for you, I say that you need to look at that video. You need to share it with your friends that have gotten burnt. All of you must sit down together and start saying, okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to avoid it? See this thing that we bought. Yeah, let's tick it. Which one does it have? This? Does it have that? Does it have that? And guess what? In that video, I didn't talk about returns. Why? Because you cannot you cannot use returns as a basis to say whether an investment is good or not. Some people will offer you low returns and you say, oh, they're giving low returns, so they are not so high risk. No, do you understand? So it's very, very important to be able to ID taking out returns from the conversation. Yeah. So moving on to, let me say, African news. African news here. Uganda becomes the first East African country to join BRICS. Now, BRICS is like a consortium of, like a consortium, a block of countries that have decided to become somewhat of an economic power. We've talked about them so many times, and you can watch our previous videos about that. But Uganda has joined them. Now, what is interesting about this is that it's almost as if countries are aligning and are deciding on their own alignment. Nobody's um, entirely sticking with the West like before. African countries are not entirely sticking with the West like before, right? And put this into context, President Trump has come out to say that he's going to slam some kind of tariff, or slam something on the countries that are aligning with BRICS. And here, an African country, an East African country, has come out boldly to say that they want to be a part of BRICS, and they have joined. Now, what does this mean, right? From an economic power perspective, economic bloc perspective, it is expected that countries within that bloc would trade more with each other. So for Uganda, that should be a plus. However, on the other side, it is also telling us that Uganda is saying that they do not want to do much with Western countries like Western countries or Western institutions like the let's say WHO, United Nations, and the IMF, right? Because it's almost like you have taken a stand, right? Now, on the bigger scale, also because these blocks tend to are expected to have to trade amongst each other, right? They have minimum standards. So ideally, what we should expect is that Uganda should step up their game on the back of this, right? Expect. So in the end, it should be good. However, we are waiting to see how America will respond to these moves, because in reality, right, things are changing. Things are changing before our eyes. The world powers in the next 20, 30 years may not be the countries that we know. We know that the BRICS bloc has their own deficiencies, if I can use that word. However, things are obviously changing and they're actually fighting for their space. So keep an eye on that. And if you have trade, it means that, for example, in if you are in Uganda, and then you should be thinking about how you can do more stuff with China, with Russia. I mean, that's what it is. That's what it is. So that's where your trade routes should be leaning towards. Yeah. And then for South Africa launched a tax break to lure China EV makers, right? Um, this is just one of the tools. And then the reason why I repeat this news is just so that you understand how these things happen. And when you say they're offering a tax break, what does it mean? Basically, if, for example, you had a product that was supposed to cost 100,000 rand, right? And then ideally what you would do is that if there's a VAT element, you add that VAT element. Let's say VAT is 10%. So you'll be selling for 110,000. That's one. Then the next thing also is that if your tax, like your company income tax, is 30%, and you are like, I want to make 90,000 off each car, right? What you are saying is that the price of that car, you would mark it up to cover for that tax element. But the government is saying that, okay, come in. And these are just the different taxes. I just talked about two different taxes that could come up. Come in and let's give you a tax break. So what the kind of things that could happen is that, okay, there won't be VAT on the purchase of EV vehicles, or we would give you a tax break as a company. You don't need to pay tax for the next 3 to 5 years, so that you come in, you set up, you do all that you need to do, and when you stabilize, you can start paying taxes. Now, they didn't say tax. There's a way it's called where you don't have to pay taxes at all. They are not one of those. They won't be one of those companies or organizations. But a tax break means that for a period, we're giving you room to move around. We're giving you room to grow, right? And that tax element can go into your profits, can go into your retained earnings, can go into your investment in the country. And so, what are they saying here? They are trying to spur that market. They are trying to say, okay, this EV market, your pricing is good, you are competitive. We want you in our country, so come. And these are the tools that governments actually use to attract investments. So what you would find, right, is that in a couple of years, you would find that the market is flooded with EVs from China. And you wonder, how did this happen? Before there was no blah 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 blah. You can see it. You can see it in the news. So if all goes well and the environment is good, because it's always not just one announcement that changes things, then what you would find is that in the next 5, 7, 10 years, there will be a massive EV market in South Africa. That's actually how it works. Then moving on to global news, right? Global news was quite interesting. So Getty Images buys shutter shot shutter shot, right? And what is Getty Images? So if you've ever done anything with like a design person, you know that they would say, okay, for this particular product, I need to buy the pictures because I don't want, and so I need to have a license to use this picture on our comms or whatever. Actually buy pictures. Now, what has happened now is that I, as a person, I can go on any AI tool, any image generating AI tool, and say, I want a picture of a guy wearing a shirt, blah, 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 in this background, blah, 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 and to create an image for me in seconds. Now, so for most people, except for like massive organizations, I really do not need to buy images anymore. I really do not. Right? I really do not. And sometimes what happens is that you search for an image, the one that you like is the one that you need to pay for. So there are free pages where you can get free images and you can either donate to the contributors and stuff, right? But this is almost like I don't need to, right? So what does that do? What is happening here? So for that market, right, there has been the influx or the growth of AI is actually a risk to them. And what are they saying? They're coming together. It's against being competitors and dividing the market. They're coming together as one. Now, is it still good? Shareholders are happy because the stock prices of both jumped on the announcements. That's the first thing, right? But then in the long run, what I really wanted to highlight here is how change is inevitable, how change can impact you, right, as a company, and then as an investor, how you need to be aware of the changes and the news that is coming out that can affect the investments that you have, right? So one of the things that we do in the club is that we actually look at our investment list and like, okay, what are the things, what are the new trends, blah 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 blah, and let's critique it. Let's see which one can impact or which one will push us forward, which trend in the future is coming that we need to position for. That is actually how to keep your investment safe. And so you will see things like announcements like Warren Buffett, for example, saying that he's leaving this market, he's going into this. And what you find is that people now begin to follow him to make those decisions, right? Or to buy those properties or assets or whatever, right? And yeah, that's really how it happens. So for you as an investor, like you might not be that sophisticated, you are listening and just trying to learn and to grow. Keep listening, keep it begins to like guide your thinking and your decision making, right? And so that's that for today. If you did find value in this, please share with your friends, and see you next week. Also remember, yes, just a shout out and to let you know that this is powered by the Money Made Club. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. That's one. And then secondly, we have a free webinar coming up, yeah, in the next couple of weeks. The comms will go out shortly. So if you haven't already, it's going to be about where and how to invest in 2025. So you need to look out for it.